Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a very exciting video. I mean, they always are, but this is especially exciting. I'm going to be doing a first impressions of the Colored Raine Juicy Boost palette. Now, this hasn't gotten good reviews. Horrible, actually. But I'm becoming somewhat of a Colored Raine stan, and I just love their formula so much. And this, I somehow have gotten signed up for their like text notifications, and it's actually a problem because I need to disable that. Anyway, I got a text that their palettes were 50% off, and so I bought this because I feel like you can't beat this palette, getting this palette for $25. So this brings us to today, and now I have it. This is a like substantial palette. I don't know why I thought that it was gonna be smaller, but it's like kind of pretty big. And I got the like long version of this because the stacked, it's like the format of the Raw Beauty Christian Pure palette where it has like two sides, but the way that they broke it up doesn't make any sense to me. So this is the way that I got it. And this is actually so, okay, let me show it to you. This is actually so beautiful. I feel like genuinely no pictures that I've seen have done this palette justice. Like it's really a beautiful color story. I still do wish that it was deeper, that there were two deeper shades for this pink row and this brown row. This is a really beautiful deep green, but I just wish there was a little bit more depth in the other two rows. I feel like I may have to use either a black today, so I'm mostly using this palette, or like a deeper shade in the crease. That's just a guess because I obviously haven't used it yet. I thought let's swatch this because why not? I haven't swatched it yet, I just got it. Hopefully I'm close enough. The last time I did swatch it as I was not. So let's just jump right into it. So let's just start off obviously with the top row. This is like the greeny blue row. So there are only 3 shimmers. The first being the shade Blueberry Burst. And I know people haven't gotten along with the shimmers in this palette, but it looks pretty. I mean, it looks just to be like a standard like mid-tone blue shimmer. The second shade is the shade Coconut Water. This is a matte white, not the most pigmented based on swatches, but I mean, you're not going to be able to see that on my skin tone anyway. The next shade is the shade Cucumber Avocado. I guess these shade names are like supposed to be food that goes in smoothies. They sent me like, or they did not send me, but they included like a pamphlet of smoothie recipes in the box. When I got it, I was like, promptly proceeded to put that in the recycling, but anyway, I guess that's like the theme of this release. Again, just a light green. The next shade is the shade Mint Leaves, which is a little bit of a deeper green. But pretty mid-toned. It's not super, super deep. The next shade is the shade Energy Boost, which is a like mid-toned blue. It's honestly looks like more of a teal when you swatch it. And then the last shade in the top row is the shade Kale Yeah, and it's a deep forest green. That's really, really nice. So that is the first row. So the next row down is the pinky row. To start off, we have the shade Sweet Ruby, and this shade, which I think I'm going to use today because it looks pretty, has not been getting good reviews. It's a metallic pink, like bright pink. It's really textured and really flaky. So if you don't like that type of shade, you're probably not going to like this. It looks pretty. It's very reflective, but definitely new for Colored Raine, and it looks like it has like a gold shift to it. I don't know if you can see that. The next shade is the shade Pink Grapefruit. It's a light, like dusty pink shade. And then we have the shade Cranberry Vanilla, which is like a mid-toned pink. As these swatches wrap around my arm, but that's okay. And then we have the shade Berry Beet, which is pretty similar in depth to Cranberry Vanilla. It just looks to be a bit more berry, as you would maybe expect. It's not quite so rosy. Okay, so that's the first half of the palette. I'm just gonna hop over and do my other arm. So the next shade we have is Watermelon Detox, which is another one I think I'm gonna use today. It's like a bright, ooh, that was the worst swatch I've ever done. A bright fluorescent like pink. And then we have the shade Apple Strawberry. This is the deepest shade in the row, and it looks to be a red. Yeah, it almost looks more pink in the pan, but when you swatch it, it looks like a red. I don't know if that's going to be deep enough for my preferences, but we'll see. And then we have the third and final row. This is the Shimmer. It's the shade Lemon Wheatgrass, which is an interesting name for an eyeshadow, and that's really beautiful. It's like a really bright gold with almost like a green shift to it. Then we have the shade Citrus Zinger. And that's a very light yellow. Then we have the shade Ginger Bay. Interesting shade names, I must say. And this is like a in between, it's like a light mustard. And then we have the shade Turmeric Shot, which looks like an orange, like a creamsicle color. That's really beautiful. And then we have the shade Orange Carrot, which is in a shocking turn of events an orange. And then the last shade in the palette is Sweet Potato Mango. And that's like a mid-toned, like orangey brown. Definitely not deep enough for me to use as a deepening shade personally. But yeah, so those are the swatches of this palette. Really like very beautiful. I really do mean that I don't feel like any pictures that I've seen of this palette have done it justice. It's just really, really nice. And I like how it's separated into 3 color families. But before I just keep talking, let's just zoom in and do a look together. Okay, so like I mentioned before, I think I'm going to do a look using the pink row because I just can't help myself. So I'm going to start off with the shade Pink Grapefruit. Whoop, right here. It's the like lighter dusty pink tone in the palette. And I'm just going to put this in my crease as a transition shade. I have primed my eyes using the NARS Smudge Proof eyeshadow base and set my lids as pretty much I always do. I'm curious to know if anyone else has gotten this palette or if you are just against buying it or what, because I was kind of sad when it first came out and everyone was saying that it was just basically like shit because this is something that I've wanted since it released, which I mean wasn't that long ago. It was in the summertime, but I think they just did a really good job with this color story. I think it's really colorful and bright and fun. But people, man oh man, people have been shitting on this release and it makes me sad. But I'm very happy to have gotten it half off. So far, that shade is very true to Colored Raine's quality as far as I'm familiar with. I didn't really have any problems blending that out at all. And like I said before, I'm going to take the shade Watermelon Sugar. Is that what it's? Oh no, that's a Harry Styles song. I'm going to take the shade Watermelon Detox and put that in my crease in my outer corner. This shade looks so bright and amazing. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm not having any problems with this shade. I don't know. I wonder if maybe the people who were having issues with this palette blending maybe do their makeup in a way that it's different than the way that I prefer to do my eyeshadow generally. Like, for example, I know that I watch Angelica Nyqvist's video on this, and I know that she didn't really get along with it, at least based on her first impressions, and she like packs her eyeshadow on and then blends it out, whereas I generally do the exact opposite. And I wonder, maybe if you do your eyeshadow that way, it wouldn't blend as well? I'm not sure. Because I'm not really having any issues. Okay, and I'm just gonna blend that out with a totally clean blending brush. Okay, yeah, so like I said, I didn't have many issues with that at all. So now I'm gonna go into the shade Apple Strawberry. This is the like red shade. I'm gonna use this as a deepening shade. I just don't think it's gonna be as deep as I want it to be. I mean, I guess every look doesn't have to be deep, but I kind of want it to be, so yeah. And as you can see, that really didn't change the depth at all. It just made it a bit more red than pink, but it's almost the same like tone or same depth. It's not even really that much deeper. And then I'm just going to take the same brush that I used the Watermelon Detox shade on and blend that out. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that. I might go in with the black at the end, but I'm just going to be good, and I'm just going to use this palette alone and do something different and not have a deep crease, which kind of pains me, but we're just going to roll with it. Now I'm going to use the shade Sweet Ruby. So it's the pink, like shimmery shade. It looks like it almost looks like a pressed, like flaky shade. That's very much what it looks like to me. Definitely doesn't look like Colored Raine's normal metallic formula. We're gonna see how this goes. I know a lot of people hate this, so we're just gonna roll with it. I'm definitely going to spray this because I think you're gonna run into some issues if you don't. And I'm just gonna go all over my lid with this. I'm not gonna cut my crease. Okay, so I guess I could see how if you just, like, you weren't prepared for this formula, you might not like it. It's definitely chunky, okay? I'll say that. It's like chunky and flaky for shizzle. But I just think that kind of looks really pretty. It's definitely really textured and flaky and not their traditional metallic formula at all. It's not even really remotely similar. But I personally don't have an issue with that. I guess it does kind of stick down. Am I even in the frame? Okay. I guess it does kind of like stick down in certain areas, like clumps a little bit. So you kind of have to like disperse the product when you lay it down. But I don't hate it. I think it's kind of fun, and I do like it when brands incorporate different textures into palettes. I don't know. I don't hate it. I'm just gonna say that. And I also will say, I know that some people said that it's just like too flaky. It's gonna like words are escaping me. It's gonna like make the emphasize, Jesus Christ. It's gonna emphasize texture on your lid, some people say. I find that the normal Colored Raine metallic formula does that anyway. Like, I find really bright, creamy, foiled metallics, while I love them and they're beautiful, I have like really crepey old person eyelids. So really shiny, creamy metallic formulas do that anyway. And while I love Colored Raine's metallic formula, I do find that it emphasizes texture. That's not like bad. that's not their fault. It's just the way my eyelids are and the way that like shiny things work. But I don't think that this emphasizes any more texture than like a traditional like Juvia's Place colored Raine, like incredibly reflective metallic shadow would anyway, in just my personal experience. Yeah, see, I just think that's so pretty. Okay, and I'm gonna go in with my finger and just add some more on. Okay, so I'm gonna go into pink grapefruit one more time and just go over the very edges of the shadow. And then I'm gonna take a little, like a tap of watermelon detox. I just want to call it watermelon sugar every time I go to say that. And I'm going to go around the edges of that. I really am trying not to disturb the shade on my lid, because I think if you blend around the shade, it's gonna just flake everywhere. So I want some of that pink like really close to my nose and my eyebrow, but I don't want to disturb the lid shade anymore. But that being said, I'm just gonna tap over the edge of that. Tapping, trying not to disturb it. Okay, and then I'm going to put a little bit more of apple strawberry, again in my outer corner. And I don't even really have that much fallout from that shade. Okay, so I'm going to take the shade Coconut Water. It's the white in this palette. And I'm going to pop that on my brow bone. I guess it doesn't really... I just need to accept that there's not that much depth in this palette, and accept that not everyone needs uber deep shades, but I'll always prefer a black over a white. I don't know what to tell you. So now to try to utilize as many shades as I can, I'm going to take the shade Mint Leaves. I'm going to put that on my lower lash line. I'm just going to do what I normally do and put that all along my lower lash line and blend it out pretty far down. And that green really actually isn't that deep at all. It's pretty light. So to deepen things up, I'm going to go into the shade Kalia, this deep forest green, which I'm just so glad that they included. If they didn't include a deep pink or brown, at least they included that deep green. And now that I'm looking a little crazy, I'm gonna go into the shade Cucumber Avocado. It's the light green. And I'm going to blend the edges of my lower lash line out. Okay, so now I'm going to hop off camera. This is basically the look done. So I'm going to just do liner and lashes and lips. And I'm gonna decide if I'm gonna put a little bit of black in my outer corner. I just don't know. And then we'll be back to conclude the video. Okay, so this is the finished look. I did put black in my outer corner, just a little bit. I just needed a little bit more depth. Then on my lips I used Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb in Diamond Milk, and then the Annabelle, what is this? Lip liner in Buff. And then I just used a black on my lower lash line, and then on my inner corner I used the Colored Raine and Power collab. What is this? Like blush and highlighter duo in the shade Prove My Loyalty. I used this shade. This is what I'm wearing on my face today, is my highlighter and blush. So let's talk about this palette. I love it. I think it's so good, actually. Like I just, here's the thing. I don't understand where people are coming from. That doesn't mean that they're wrong, though. I mean, everyone has different makeup preferences. To me, the mattes read very much the same as any other Colored Raine mattes that I've used. I have a little confession time. I do have the Colored Raine and Power palette. I actually haven't used that yet. And I have the Safari Raine palette. This feels the same as the other formulas of Colored Raine that I've used. Like, it genuinely, it feels the same. The metallic shades, obviously I've just used the pink shade. That is different, definitely different. Like I said before, it feels almost like a pressed flaky shade. It's a little bit crumbly. Definitely use a glitter glue or use it wet. I would not like just go in with that shade dry alone, or use your finger. But I think it's really beautiful. I think it's very reflective. It adds a lot of texture and shine. Will it emphasize texture in your eyelid? Yeah, probably. But like I said before, I get that happens to me when I use traditional metallic formulas that are really creamy, reflective, like metallic shades. So it doesn't super bother me. I don't find that this emphasizes more texture than a shade like that would anyway. I find that they were pigmented, easy to blend. Really, I don't have a lot of complaints. Obviously, I've just used the pink row on my lid, and then I used the greens on my lower lash line, but I definitely want to play with them more just by themselves on my lid because I don't feel like I necessarily got like the full picture of how they work. I really like it. I really like the way this look turned out. It's very like watermelon realness. I don't say that. I don't know why I would say that. But yeah, I also can't imagine a world in which these shades, these pink shades, don't stain my lids. Maybe I'll put that in the description box below to let you know whether they stain or not, although I'm almost 100% positive that they will. But yeah, I don't know. I'm actually really happy that I bought this palette. Like I said, I kind of bought it on a whim because it was 50% off, but I'm so happy I did. I'm getting a little bit of FOMO that I didn't also buy the like Vivid Pigments palette that they have because that was also 50% off, but I'm trying to rein in my buying habits, so I guess it's probably a good thing that I didn't. Anyway, that's like basically it for this first impressions. I really like the color story. I think it's fun. This is like a really beautiful palette. It's really like weighty. It has a really huge mirror. It feels really high quality. I even think like $50 normally I would be probably willing to pay that amount of money for this palette. I really love it. Colored Raine, you haven't let me down. Like I said, I just imagine that the reason people maybe didn't like it in the first place is because we just have different eyeshadow application preferences. I generally like to go in layers and build my shadows up gradually. Maybe if you like really pack your shadows onto like a tacky base and then go and blend them out from there, then they might prove problematic to work with, although I don't do my eyeshadow that way, so I can't really say. And like I said, it's very just like standard to me what I think of Colored Raine formula. Anyway, so the essence is it as bad as people say? No, not at all. And I won't probably do 3 looks with this palette just because I think it's going to end up looking very similar to either what I've done today or just I don't think it's going to be like revolutionary. If you want to see that, let me know, but maybe I'll do like a more in-depth review later, or I could just go over all the Colored Raine palettes that I have and talk about them. That could be a good video as well. Yeah, I feel like I've been talking for too long, so I'm going to let you all go on about your day. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye. Okay.
So, 8-town down.
That's Samantha Ravindall's.
She has peace out, 8-town down?
No, she says peace out.
Yeah.